106.2 FM and Inspire FM in Luton 105.1 FM. Another week back with you, bringing you the up-to-date information regarding health. And you know, I am so privileged again to be doing these shows in the evening, especially during this week where it's half-term week for most children out there. So I hope that you're all enjoying yourselves. I have very well-deserved rest. I see a lot of poorly little ones in the surgery, and it's not very nice, but at least take advantage of this time to rest it all out, you little ones out there, okay? And it's a pleasure if all of you can listen to today's show, because today's show is a very special one indeed. Now, what I'd like you to do before I talk about the topic of today's show is I'd love you to participate. You can text and WhatsApp on 07745 278978, or you can ring us on the studio telephone number, which is, for you Luton listeners, the Peterborough code, which is 01733602133, or indeed you can watch us on Facebook Live, because we have a wonderful video of us rolling live where you can see us, talk to us and ask us questions, because with the advent of internet technology, it makes life just so much more easier. And before I crack on, I do wish to take the opportunity to say that we're coming up to the days of the Big Muslim Variety Show 2018, and that's going to be taking place in your very own Peterborough on the 20th of February 2018. Now, Salam Radio has been very generous, and we're giving out some complimentary tickets for a special few who decide to participate in my show by calling in. And for those first few callers that call in, give us some views on the show, give in your input on your experience, and you will also get a free ticket. This is for a limited time only. Take advantage of the show, and it would be wonderful to gain your views on today's very special topic. Well, as you know, or may not know, it is Mental Health Week. And part of commemorating this week, it's very important to talk about the aspect of mental health. You know, you see a lot going on social media, on various media outlets, where we say we need to be talking a little bit more about mental health. Yes, we do need to be talking a little about mental health, and we do need to be making the community aware, especially the Muslim community, that actually it's not a stigma. Don't think of it as a stigma. The fact of the matter is we're all human beings, and mental health can manifest itself, or mental health problems can manifest itself in various forms. And I am absolutely delighted to be having my guest on the show, who I have been trying to pin down for the last couple of months. And you know, the reason why I wasn't able to pin her down is because she does such a fantastic job at what she does. So I'm absolutely privileged to be introducing to you all Suzanne White, who is a PRISM service peer support worker. She's part of the community mental health team here within the East Anglia region, particularly Peterborough, and she's peer support worker for a new service that has been set up here known as the PRISM service from the mental health team. And we're going to be talking a little bit about this. Do contribute. Your contribution makes a difference. But first of all, I am going to say good evening and hello to you, Suzanne.
Hello, Shabina. It's lovely to see you.
Yes, it's lovely to see you as well. And as usual, you come with a beautiful smiling face. And as I said, that we're going to be having this lovely chat regarding this very, very important topic, aren't we?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So the fact of the matter is that you do so much work in regard to this, Suzanne. And obviously, we've advertised your experience and everything.
Sure.
And you told us that you were employed by the CPFT Mental Health Trust as a peer support worker since July last year. It must have given you a great deal of experience.
Well, since then I've grown on experience, but I think I've always used my previous experience, life experience really, to then be able to support others. And some of that experiences for me, I think, is kind of common sense to a certain degree. But I've grown in confidence since joining, and my ability to kind of just, I think it's just important just to listen.
Yeah.
And I think the people we support, not just myself, because I'm part of a team.
Yeah.
And I think we just listen to those people, and we actually try and take on their concerns or whatever their challenges are around their mental health, whether that's anxiety or depression, or I can't get out, how do I get out?
Yeah.
Just doing activities and things that some people say, I'll just go and lose weight or just go for a walk. That would do you a world of good. And that is true, it will.
Yeah.
But for some people, it might be just difficult just to take that step outside the front door.
Absolutely.
So just us going in as a community team, supporting people from their home or in the community, and just listening to what they actually want.
Yeah.
And we use that as a guide to how we want to support them. We always go at their pace, not at our pace.
Yeah.
And I think that's important, not to push people too far, but also if people are going a bit fast as well, we also try and bring that back so they're not going too far ahead of themselves.
Yeah. And you know, Suzanne, I think that that's so important to actually give that perspective and communicate that to the people that are listening today, because I can remember the PRISM support worker that was coming to give us an intro, because you've got to go around and give these GP surgeries their intros. A lot of the surgeries are a bit more nightmarish with giving time, and our PRISM support worker was lovely because she came at one time and we'd forgotten about the meeting, and then she rescheduled, and when she actually came in, I sat there and I listened to it throughout the whole time. There was no looking at my watch, and I was so intrigued by what this has to offer that I couldn't wait for it to start. In fact, a lot of the patients that I was seeing is, oh, we've got this lovely service that's coming up, and then I'd have a look at the screen and say, oh no, I've got to wait for another month until it rolls out. And Suzanne, I know you from a personal perspective as well. I'm so admirable of your experience. And what was your reason for coming into the whole mental health, if you'd like to share with us?
I think I've always been a people person anyway. I've worked for the NHS for now 20 odd years.
Yeah.
So I know I'm good with people.
Yeah.
And I think going from physical health to mental health, I feel sometimes you don't get a chance to have that face-to-face conversations with patients that probably, or peers we call them, that we don't get that time in physical health, not always to do that.
Yeah.
But I think in mental health that I feel is a gap that I feel needs to be filled. But the personal reason I became a peer support worker was actually I have my own challenges with mental health.
Sure.
And I think through the experiences I've had previously, I think it's actually taught me how to build up tools and strategies to keep my mental health at a level which is manageable day in, day out. And it's some days you have good days, some days you have bad days, but actually if you keep it on an even path, then I think that's just a general thing to have generally for everybody. But it's I just think that's a good thing to have, really.
Absolutely. And as you say, it's helped a lot with your own mental health. And I do find that talking to people about a particular facet of mental health can definitely help your own mental health.
Absolutely.
I was reading up about the statistics this week regarding mental health, and statistics never fail to surprise me. And I was researching on the Mind website. Obviously, speaking on the radio, we've got to give references to where we get our statistics from. And the Mind charity has quoted that a quarter of the population, in other words, one in 4 people, will suffer from some type of depressive or mental health illness in their lifetime, and another 1 in 6 people will experience some type of anxiety or depression. And that's statistics only in the last year. And this is just apparent statistics of people that have admitted to their illness. So can you just imagine the amount of people that haven't spoken about it?
Absolutely.
That's so important.
There's so many more people out here that we could support and maybe feel we're not approachable, or maybe not even that, but maybe about it's quite frightening to talk about, and sometimes the stigma is far worse than actually. I think from my own personal experience, I've experienced stigma, and I think that does put a barrier into talking about it probably further or deeper, and to actually get that right help that you actually need.
Yeah.
Whether whatever that is, whether that is just a chat with a friend or a coffee, or whether it is you do need further input. You know, at the end of the day, I think talking is a really good way, but part of a peer support worker, we don't just think about talking, but we actually try and work alongside that person to find out what actually is their way of dealing with it. Is it breathing exercises? Do they need to learn mindfulness?
Yeah.
Is it just something that, you know, people, you know, is it helping them to get back to work? So those sorts of things that boost people's self-esteem and keep people quite calm and settled.
Yeah, I get that. And coming from the Muslim ethnic minority community, and as a woman, I always think that it's very important to try to address the level of mental health problems that are prevalent in an ethnic minority such as mine. And I'll be very open and say that you can only start to address them if you put yourself as an example first. And I put my hands up and each time say that I'm proud of actually announcing the fact that I too have suffered from depression. I suffered from postnatal depression. It was a very long journey. I found myself in a very deep, dark hole. And I hadn't realised, because my background before becoming a GP was that I was doing surgery in the hospital. New baby came along, and all of a sudden I just felt that I looked at this little human being and thought, oh my goodness, there's no going back now. I've got to put up with this for the rest of my life. And I felt myself quite alone. There was nobody to talk to, because there's no manual that comes along with it that tells you how to do it.
Not.
There's nothing. And my health visitor came to me and she asked me to fill out a questionnaire, and it was the Edinburgh mood scale, the depression score, and I scored very high on it. And she looked at me, and the first thing she said was, I saw her eyebrows sort of come together in a very anxious looking expression, and she said, oh, you poor thing. And I burst into tears because it felt as if, like you say, sometimes barriers are put up, and that barrier had been knocked down all of a sudden. And I thought, oh my goodness, that means that I really need to, there was something wrong with me. I should have had it addressed. And there onwards, I was given a lot of support, and I'm so glad that I did that now, because if I hadn't, I wouldn't be sitting here and I wouldn't be speaking to you. So all you listeners out there, I put myself up as an example to say that actually, yes, if someone like myself can say that I've been there, it's happened, I've come out of it, and I'm a survivor. And you know, there are people here that are here to help you, and there is no shame whatsoever in admitting that actually you don't feel right in yourself, you don't feel emotionally healthy. And this is the reason why we are speaking to Suzanne, because it's important to make you aware of what the PRISM service can now offer.
Yes.
So Peterborough in particular, Suzanne, has been identified as being particularly struck down with problems regarding the lack of funding in mental health, not just Peterborough alone, but the sort of, you know, UK, the whole country over. You know, the NHS has experienced cuts, etc. Mental health, unfortunately, has been one of those areas that's had lack of funding and, you know, cuts exposed to it. And this has in turn led to an increase in waiting times, obviously in the local area, which you're very much aware of. It's sad, isn't it, for mental health patients that before PRISM came along, that you had people that were waiting quite a lot to see a counsellor or to see somebody who was a professional that could help them.
Yes, I suppose this is what the service does. I think it fills a bit of a gap or a safety net for those people that maybe are just struggling a little bit, but they don't quite meet the threshold for maybe some of the mental health teams or locality teams. And I think it's kind of it's kind of an in-between service where we can just maybe prevent maybe a mental health challenge that a peer may have escalating, and maybe we could actually stop that at a point and actually give them a positive experience in mental health services. And I'll be really honest, I have received really good support from mental health services recently and in the past, and I think I'm thankful to those people as well, because if it wasn't for those, maybe I wouldn't be sitting here now talking about this. But I think, I think it's got to stem from somewhere, it's. I think it's just nice just to help people and give back.
Absolutely.
And I think, like them strategies, those tools that you picked up, I now can pass those on to people that also now need their help, my help as well. So I think, it's just like passing on good advice. We don't tell people what to do.
Yeah.
And we usually follow, again, we always follow what they want to do. It's never about what we want to do.
Yeah.
And it's good just to give advice, but actually to do that, say they need struggle to lose weight or something, it's actually, is it filling in the form? Is it picking up the phone to the gym and because they're so anxious? It's those little things that when you just give advice that people sometimes just can't do, or just maybe just need that encouragement and positive support to do and carry out.
Yeah, and that's just so wonderful, because when I was reading up about the PRISM service, how did it actually come about? Was it because that it was seen that there were these waiting times that were taking place, or that there was a particular group of patients that needed that type of help?
I can't really remember off the top of my head, but I think it was because they recognised there was a bit of a gap in the system.
Yeah.
And I think rightly so that did need to be filled. And
yeah. And like you say, that obviously coming from myself being a local GP, I can see how much positivity this has brought to the area. So we've got that cohort of patients who have so much in the way of guidance and support as well. And reading up about the PRISM service beforehand and now, you've got 3 tiers in Peterborough. You've got obviously your community mental health team, and then you've got your psychological wellbeing service, haven't you, which talk about CBT and online sort of talking therapy, as it were. And then now we've got PRISM, which is wonderful. And they based in, so would you like to tell us a little bit about the structure of the PRISM service? So we sit, are you based only in surgeries?
So we have mental health clinicians based around the GP surgeries.
Great.
So they receive the referrals from the GPs like yourself.
Yeah.
And then they decide what they think is the best pathway for that person. And if they think it's a peer support worker, then they get assigned to us, basically. So that's how we pick up the referrals. And I think... I think it's maybe just that preventative work sometimes that we kind of do, and hopefully give them that positive experience of being in the receiving mental health services. I think it needs to be a good positive experience, and that's what we would hope we would give to all the people we support.
Absolutely. And just the fact that you can say to that patient that, you know what, listening first of all, and then saying, do you know, I hear you, and giving somebody that confidence and reassurance that you're hearing them just empowers them in itself, doesn't it? I mean, from a GP's perspective, it's sometimes I feel a little bit unlucky that we're only assigned 10 minutes appointments for patients who have a mental health problem, and you can never justify that problem in 10 minutes with a mental health patient. You can't. No. And sometimes it's try to consolidate all those words, and often I say to them when they come through the door, do you know, the actual fact that you have made the effort to come through that door, sit in front of me, means that you have made your first step to recovery because you wanted it. So, and that's what I know that somebody as empathetic and sympathetic as yourself, you're providing to your patients as well. It's a wonderful tool. It's such a big empowering tool. How do you feel when you connect with your patients?
So I always feel I am on the same level as them, and I think that removes some of the barriers. How do I feel? I think it's different with everybody. I've only been in the job 7 months, and I haven't had a lot of had a many number of peers that I've supported so far. But I think I think it's just back when just say thank you, and you didn't rush me, you listened to me. you were able to get me out of my home or get me out of the village that I live in or something like that. And for something like that, for some people can do that without hesitation. But some people, that's a really big thing. And I think it's just, I mean, you may or not get this, but when somebody just says thank you to you, that's as much as reward as I need, really. And I think I always listen to the feedback from my colleagues, and I think I've got a fantastic team that support me personally as well as professionally, and that always that positivity always feeds through to the peers that we support. But I think it's just, you just, at the end of the day, if they thank you and you can see that their anxiety is reduced, or they look happier, or they've achieved something about their goals they wanted to achieve, I'm happy to signpost them onto something else or something else that they want to do. And I think it's just like watching your children go, and when they go to university or leave home, you're glad you've done a good job as a parent, I suppose. Yeah. So I think I'm not the only person I feels like this. I think we kind of feel that we kind of try and nurture them a little bit, not take over, but just kind of, I don't know, there is kind of that connection with being having my own struggles as well, but also I think that just breaks down the barriers again. But I think just the thank you is just enough for me. I know I get paid to do it, but I do enjoy it, and I wouldn't do it if I didn't enjoy it either.
Well, I know you enjoy it because knowing you from a personal level as well, it's wonderful. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted you on the show, because you impressed me so much that I thought, well, we've got some talent over here, we need to get you on. So that was exactly why. And to be really honest, I think it's wonderful what you say, because you've demonstrated that you empower those people. And part of helping people with their mental health is empowering them, first of all, isn't it?
Absolutely.
And making them actually take a hold of what's happening in their life and say, you know what, I can actually change the way I feel because you're being supported. You're supporting them. So it's absolutely, it's so refreshing to listen to this. And I'd just like to say to everybody that's listening, that I feel that this is therapy right here, that we're having this conversation, and all your team that's watching, you've got a brilliant peer support worker over here who's doing a fantastic job, because even I'm benefiting from it. And it's wonderful, it's endearing, and this is the way it should be. It
Absolutely.
Really should be. So if any of you have decided to tune in now on Salam Radio, do text and WhatsApp us on 077 45 278 978. Now, what I think we've got is this for me? It's actually, no, it was for earlier on. We actually had a presenter earlier on, Safura Houghton, who spoke about, she does a parenting matters show. And because of Mental Health Week, she did a fantastic show on mental health in children and how to approach that. And she had a child and adolescent mental health clinician on. And I listened to a little bit of that show, but it was wonderful. But I'm going to go home and actually listen to that show because I learned so much from it as well. So, that's a real shout out for Sister Safura Houghton, who gave that wonderful show. And do ring us on 01733 602 133. Now, having a look, we've got another 2 minutes left till our break, but what type of illnesses does PRISM sort of see? Is it more, obviously it can't be the very severe mental health, because mental health is a really big subject. You've got schizophrenia, you've got the bipolar disorders as well. Is it more those that haven't really sort of succumbed to the initial, what you call, treatment, I suppose, by their GP, and then they refer on to the clinicians, and then they come to you? Is it sort of follow-ons and sort of, do you get to see cases, or are you referred cases of those patients who have already had mental health for a long time, or can it be anything?
I think it is a mixture of both, because we don't just cover PRISM service. My team covers the recovery coach team as well. Okay. So we still do the peer support work, but recovery coach team is a step down service from locality teams for people that need support to exit the mental health system, might need that transition support. And they might have been in the system for several years and a bit worried about how that's going to all manage. But I think PRISM is the other way around. I think in my short time I've seen age range, different circumstances all the time, and I don't think there's one set thing. But yes, we see people with a variety of different challenges, whether it's schizophrenia or diagnosis of anything. I mean, I think actually that's one thing we don't worry about as peer support workers. We see the person, we don't actually see the diagnosis. And I think that is really important to see that, yes, if I'm not going to see that man who has a diagnosis of schizophrenia, I'm going to see, I don't know, Joe Bloggs, or the person I've got in front of me. And I think that's always how I've treated people, really, that I look at the person in front of me and just kind of really treat them for who they are.
Brilliant. So we're coming up to a break now. Please stay tuned. Participate. It's a wonderful show. You know it all is. And we will join you after the break.
Stay tuned to Salam Radio after this short ad break.
Have you visited Amar Food Store yet? Now open at Lincoln Road Triangle, 613B Lincoln Road, Peterborough. Pay us a visit and take advantage of our special offers and great range of products on groceries, vegetables, fruits and halal meat. All your favourite brands under one roof. We take payment by card, have free customer parking and offer a free local delivery service. Also available, PayZone for bill payments and money transfer services to Pakistan. Amar Food Store and Halal Meat. Now open at Lincoln Road Triangle. Call us on 01733 68 73 74. High in quality, low in prices.
Let's get ready to rumble! Top Yard School of Boxing presents an afternoon of amateur boxing. Sunday the 18th of February at Gladstone Park Community Centre, Peterborough, PE1 2AN. Doors open 1 p.m. for a 1:30 p.m. start. Exciting and thrilling boxing action, along with a raffle, hot food and refreshments. Advance tickets are only £10 for adults and £5 for under 12s. Tickets on the door are £15. Get your advance tickets now from 07790 928 546. Top Yard School of Boxing, Amateur Boxing Afternoon, Sunday the 18th of February, 1 p.m. at Gladstone Park Community Centre.
Third world and developing countries are home to some of the most vulnerable children on the planet. Malnutrition, severe lack of medical aid and access to clean water are just some of the horrific challenges faced by orphans across Africa and Asia. Children of Adam, a Peterborough charity, need your help to bring aid to these orphans for just £25 a month. To sponsor an orphan or assist with other projects, please call 0300 321 0032 or visit www.childrenofadam.net.
Do you own a restaurant or takeaway? Cater Fair is an expert supplier of new and used commercial catering equipment. Visit caterfair.co.uk for quality equipment on sale at the lowest prices, or call us on 01733 310 115 or visit us at 11 Royce Road, Fengate, Peterborough.
Need a great place to chill out? Look no further than The Lounge for quality food and drinks at a great price. Try our varied menu: pasta, seafood, burgers, grills, salad, soup, rice and sides. Also hot and cold drinks, milkshakes and mocktails. Leave room for our exquisite desserts. The Lounge, 417 Lincoln Road, Peterborough. Call 01733 709 306 to order for delivery. The Lounge, friendly service with a great atmosphere.
Did you know that cow's milk has a cure for every illness in it? Yes, it's true. On the authority of Abdullah ibn Masud, may Allah be pleased with him, the Prophet ﷺ said, "Drink cow's milk, for verily it eats from all kinds of vegetation, and it is a cure for every illness."
This is Salam Radio, Peterborough's Muslim community radio. Broadcasting on 106.2 FM and online.
Assalamu alaikum and welcome back. This is your very own Dr Shabina Asad-Qum. I always say your very own Dr Shabina Asad-Qum because I mean it, okay? Because it really does matter to me about matters that are taking place within the community that we need to address, mental health being one of them. It is Mental Health Week. We are joined by the wonderful Suzanne White, who is a peer support worker for the community mental health team here in Peterborough, and we're talking about the new PRISM service on behalf of the community mental health team within Peterborough particularly, and talking about all of the wonderful things that they do and they are engaged in. And if you haven't texted and WhatsApp us, text us on 07745278978, or you can call and ring us on the studio telephone number 01733602133. And come on, people, do call us in. We want to talk to you. Look, even if you don't want to talk about your own mental health but just want to give us your views on it, I'm getting some questions in and some views in about the show, which is wonderful. A lot of you want to remain anonymous, and I completely respect that. So we will be sort of reading out those comments. But we've got the big Muslim variety show on behalf of Penny Appeal, and Salam Radio has been particularly generous and has got some complimentary tickets. So if you are one of the very few callers that calls in, I will give you a ticket, because I'm going with the whole of my family. It'd be lovely to meet you, actually. It's a wonderful, wonderful evening. We're going to have, it's a mixture of culture and comedy. We've got signature Abdullah Afzal, you know, the son-in-law that comes on Citizen Khan. He's very funny. So I'm going because of him, actually, because I need to laugh. Alman Nusrat, Faisal Salah, Once Upon a Family, and Omar Say No More. Okay? So it would be wonderful. You call in, you get that ticket, because this is Salam Radio being very generous. We're also broadcasting on Inspire FM 105.1 FM, and we've got the people of Luton listening to us. So welcome. It's wonderful to have you on board, and indeed wonderful to be sharing these golden nuggets of information regarding health services within the region. And I hope that you can learn from it as well. So Suzanne, we were talking about before the break about various support that you're giving, and just during the break we were talking about sort of empowering people and, you know, going in and how you find those first experiences, and how, give us a day in the life of Suzanne White as a peer support worker going to an individual's home. So you get information about this client. Do you have to ring them up beforehand and make an appointment to go and see him?
So we do always try and have that initial phone call, and I think that's a really good first opportunity to introduce myself.
Sure.
And I think, we always try and do that by telephone initially. And I think it's a good opportunity for me to explain what a peer support worker is, because it's not a very common thing within any mental health service. But I think it's good to understand that they know what to expect from us and what we can do, maybe what our limitations are. But I think just to show that we're quite human and we're quite friendly. We always try and book that first session over the telephone. If not, it is done by letter, and we always try and send information out. And they have the opportunity then, when they're ready, to kind of have, that we can send them a letter when we've got a referral. And when they're ready, we give them a couple of weeks to respond to that letter to say, do you actually want to receive the service? Are you ready to receive? Because not every person is always ready to have that support for whatever reason. It could be numerous reasons why they wouldn't be ready for it, I suppose. But we always do try and have that initial telephone conversation. So we always try and book the first session in from there. And we go along, we do like a first session, and we do a bit like what you said, like we do a well-being thing, like you were saying with your when you had your child. And I think we do a similar thing, but we do kind of keep it quite basic. We don't try and overwhelm people with too much information, but we just go and listen and see what they would like from us, I suppose.
Yes.
Okay, we haven't got a magic wand, and we can't fix, I don't like the word fix anyway, but we go and listen to what they want to do. Is it they need help filling out forms for housing, or they really like to access the Recovery College in Peterborough, or is it accessing services that Mind run in Peterborough as well? So it's also just standing along beside them or sitting with them and just saying, what would you like? What would help you right now? But how do we get there? You know where you want to go. We're going to break that down into small steps.
Yeah.
And is it just walking down the road to the corner? Is it the next time we go a little bit further? So it's again, we always, on that first one, I can normally tell if they're ones that are going to probably be what I call probably a slow starter. We might just need that slow, gentle approach.
Yes.
But sometimes people are quite eager and ready to get going, but actually sometimes they need a bit of guidance to slow down because their anxiety might be not helping. And I think it's just then bringing them back to a level where they're grounded. And that could just be simple as breathing techniques and just bringing them back down to what I call grounded level, really. But we go at their pace. We normally say 8 to 10 weeks-ish support. There is a slight flexibility in that, but I think if my manager was here, I don't think I'll be allowed to give any more extra time. But I think we're flexible. If there's a bit of extra work that does need those few extra weeks, we will look at that and we will try and allow for that where we can.
Yeah.
Some people, it just means I need to help fill form. It might just be a couple of sessions. Sometimes we do wellness plans with people, so that I have a wellness plan and that shows me what my struggles are, what my challenges are. And it also, I've got a column that what signs people would need to look out for, but it also says, how do I if I look at it, what would help?
Yeah.
So like my walking that I've done, or my mindfulness, or meeting up with friends to play Cluedo. I don't know who that would be. Just all those things. So that we do a lot of that kind of work, and just trying to think examples what else we've kind of done. But it's more about it could be like form filling, making phone calls. I've supported peers that are really nervous on the telephone.
Yeah.
And we've just sat there and wrote out, what they wanted to say, and do they want to have a go? Oh, I'm not sure, but once they've heard me do it, they want to have a go. So it's just about, I think it's just giving them that we're there and just, I'll show you how to do it, but we will never take the empowerment away. We won't do things for people, but we will support them to do it for themselves.
Yeah, that's brilliant. And that's the way you've put it in a nutshell. In fact, you've just reminded me through your daily walking that I sponsored you and I brought the money along with me today.
Great stuff.
I'm going to give that. Well done, by the way. Congratulations on that.
31 days.
Oh, brilliant. So, I've got to give you your money. I've handed you, and I'm so glad that I remember, because I sort of broke out in a little bit of a sweat thinking about that. Oh, I've got to give Suzanne her money. So, that will be handed over, and well done.
Thank you.
A wonderful example of how this can work for an individual as well.
Absolutely.
Which is brilliant. Suzanne, you did mention that obviously the 6 to 10 week period that you give. Now, is it up to the patient how much interaction they want? Is it once a week? Or is it between yourselves you decide?
I think as peer support workers, I think we do try and ask that initially straight away. What will fit within their lives? They might have children, they might work. So, so sometimes people want weekly. Some people have other appointments going on. Sometimes we put things on hold if school holidays are around. So I think we understand that life or family commitments and things kind of get in the way of support sometimes. But I think we try and be amenable. like say for instance, maybe a PIP form maybe need completing that might have a deadline on it.
Yeah.
But so there's things like that. We can move the week slightly, but not a lot. But I think if there's a specific piece of work we need to do and we need to complete it, we as a team would always look and try and allow for those extra time.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a wonderful way to go, I must say. And what I wanted to say, I've first of all got a comment over here that I'm a person who has been battling. They don't want to divulge the name, but thank you very much. Thank you very, very much for participating and giving your experience. I'm a person who's been battling with mental health issues. I'd like to say I was on the verge of committing suicide. I was a social recluse, but the service has helped me greatly.
Oh, that's amazing to hear.
I feel like a better person. Thank you. This is a great show and very important for the community. How heartening that is to hear.
Yes, absolutely. And that won't just be me. That would be that be somebody in my team as well. And we do work as a team. So well done for all my colleagues that we work so well together, because they're a great team and they're really good friends as well. So friends for life, a lot of them. Yeah,
absolutely. Because you meet so many people on your journey.
Absolutely.
And these friends can become friends for life, and you can learn from each other. Which takes me to my next question, Suzanne. Now, this programme is obviously to create awareness to the community, namely to address the ethnic Muslim minority that we have here in Peterborough. And we have, I think the recent census said something like 20,000, if I'm not wrong, but I will be very happily corrected by that statistic. In your experience, and I know that you've only been in the service since July, but have you ever had any feedback from colleagues or, say, your line manager, as to how many ethnic minority patients, or clients as you call them, are being seen?
So we've had this debate in the office not that long ago, and I don't think the referral rate for men or women in the Asian community, I don't think it's very high at all. I couldn't give you specific numbers, but I think it's not a area of the community we receive a lot of referrals from, for whatever reason that is. Maybe that's something you might have a bit more of an insight than I would, but I think we are there for the whole of Peterborough and Cambridgeshire community, regardless of your background, and I think we always work to receive any referrals from any diverse community, and I think that's what CPFT does stand for really. I think we do try and look at people's cultural differences and religion, and we will deal with that on an individual basis. I don't think it's one size fits all. So if there are people out there who feel they need that support, I feel that we would always take people on face value. Yeah. And not judge them. I think that whether you're a man or woman, white, whatever, I think we would always do that on individual basis and never on your background, your culture, or anything like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is the reason why we're having this show, and it's to say to all of the listeners that are listening today that there's no stigma in mental health. I know that there are differences between what is deemed to be cultural and what is deemed to be religious. But do remember that, as Suzanne has said, she helps many peers to empower themselves and to help them with whatever strategies they feel could help them. So if you are particularly spiritual, you will get your peer support worker from the prison service that will help empower you and encourage you to undertake more of that. And it's not that they don't know about the culture or the religion. The fact here is that this program is being broadcasted because we need more awareness within the communities, the ethnic minority communities, and all of you that are listening, that these services have been brought to you by the community mental health team. They've been brought to you because it was realised that there is a gap in the need of the population with regards to mental health. And this is amidst, I'd like to say and stress here, all the funding cuts that are taking place within the NHS, and the NHS being under considerable mountains of pressure. And we are very fortunate to have the NHS. We aren't entitled to it, but we are privileged to have it. And I would say that when you have these services, where anywhere else in the world you would have to pay an extortionate amount of money to be able to receive such treatment, you have it here for you to avail and for you to feel better, and it will improve your outcome. And the other thing we were talking about last week when we met, Suzanne, do you remember? It's about being the PRISM service being set up in GP surgeries,
Yes.
and the fact that a lot of patients feel quite familiar and
Yes,
safe.
I do remember that.
Yeah, we were talking about that, weren't we? That GP surgeries actually feel like a sort of not a second home, but a familiar surrounding in which patients feel more at ease, and hence the advantage of having the PRISM service where patients, we're going to talk about the word patient as well.
Absolutely.
Can go and talk about how they're feeling. And on the back of that, I'm going to now say to you that I call them patients, but Suzanne, do tell our listeners that you refer to them as?
We refer to them as peers because
Yeah.
we feel we are on the same level. I know we're supporting them, and this is a paid job, but I think it's good. I think that breaks down the barriers for communication. Sometimes I've received referrals and I've looked at the referral, but when I've actually gone in and spoken to that person for the first time, sometimes you find a different story, or not completely untrue, but I think sometimes they open up to us a bit more because that barrier is removed. And I think, we have a lot of good community mental health work practitioners in PRISM that sit within the GP surgeries. And I think we always need their support and guidance. And if we ever feel like a peer, as we don't use the word patient, but if we feel that anybody needs any extra support with medications and things, we've always got them as a point of call.
Mm-hmm.
So we feel that, that they're not quite right, or we feel that might need some more intervention than we can give them, then sometimes we can go back to them. And actually, again, that's when their expertise comes into play as well. And I think in the whole, we generally work well together. The bit of the barrier is that we're always not sitting in the same office, and that can be a challenge, but I think in the whole we do work as well. The PRISM service work well as a whole.
Yeah, they do. And obviously from conversations with yourself, when I've been trying to sort of really feel really intrigued about this, because it's been really good to feel, and it's so funny, we meet for other things and we talk about this all the time, don't we? And why not? Because you're making such a difference to the community, and it's so wonderful to hear all of this. Suzanne, have you ever come across a crisis situation in terms of working with a peer as yet, or not?
No, it's not really, I've not experienced that at all, but I think I have an understanding of what I would need to do in that scenario. And I think you got the first response 111 service. If you ring 111 option 2, you can then speak to a professional mental health practitioner if you're in a crisis situation with your mental health. And that is another way of also accessing possible services within mental health that you might need.
Yeah, because the other thing that I need to find out for purposes of our Luton team is that 111 obviously is national, isn't it? But we know, and for those of you listeners who weren't aware as well, which is such an important point, if you feel that you are reaching crisis whereby you feel, I've got to use the word suicidal. I feel very wary of the words that I use because
if they feel like they're feeling want to end their own life.
And yes, they want to end their own life, or they are self-harming in some way, then there is the option of dialing 111 option 2, which is the crisis number in a way for the public access.
For mental health.
For mental health, and you will be put in touch with a mental health professional who will either talk to you, arrange to see you, or do whatever needs to be done to help you at that moment in time.
Yeah, they sometimes refer on to other services like the Sanctuary at Mind.
Okay.
And that's another place where you can go and just sit and talk to people if you're feeling a crisis maybe coming on, your verge of a crisis. There's somewhere you can go. So there's things, there are, especially, I don't know, I think that's Peterborough and Cambridgeshire. I think there's one in Peterborough and Cambridge, I think. But I think there are other things that kind of one-on-one service can tap into, but also if you're needing more urgent services, they can refer into crisis teams and things like that.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And in the meantime, I've got another comment here from Bushra Gulfraz, who's actually been very actively engaging as a listener on my previous mental health shows as well. And she says, I'm really impressed with this peer support service. And I didn't know about the 111 option too. But Bushra, I know that you reside somewhere in the West Midlands, I think. So I'd probably have to confirm whether this is available nationally. And I can definitely get back to you because that's what the show's all about, Absolutely. Isn't it? So we'll find out. I'll find that out for you. And thank you for listening to this show as well, because it's absolutely wonderful. If you've already joined us, this is Dr Shabina Sidkian for the Body Health and Mind Show on Salam Radio 106.2 FM and Inspire FM in Luton on 105.1 FM. Text and WhatsApp us on 07745278978, or you can ring us on the Peterborough code for the Luton listeners 01733602133. Call us. For those of you that are listening, you don't necessarily have to say that you're suffering from a mental health team, but if you want a complimentary ticket from Salam Radio, at least for the show that's going to be taking place, known as the Big Muslim Variety Show 2018, then yeah, phone up and we'll give you a complimentary ticket. I want to see who's eager to go and see this show, because I am. I need some laughs, and we all need happiness in our life, and that's what we were talking about laughter as well. Well, yes, we do need a lot of laughter too. So apart from all of that, now the other thing that I was going to say, Suzanne, is first of all, I'm extremely admirable of the fact that you have come here and you are so engaging and given so much information. Can I ask you at all, is it what message do you have for the ethnic minority community before we say goodbye to you?
I think as well, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think use that support around you that you've got.
Yeah.
So talk to somebody that you trust, whether that's a friend or family. But if you have got that really good GP, and I know, Shabina, you must be a really excellent GP. I'd love you to be my GP. But that's been one of my useful things. I actually felt that I had a good GP that I could turn to.
Yeah.
And I think, don't be afraid to go and talk about mental health, whatever diverse or culture you're from. I think talking about things and getting it out there and getting it off your chest and figuring out what kind of may be causing that, I think, is wonderful. And I think, if you've got that special friend, I've got my special friend with me here today in the studio.
Yeah.
But if, all these kind of people mean a lot to me, like my mum, who's fantastic. We were talking about my mum earlier.
Yes.
But if it wasn't for my mum, my sister and my daughter and my niece, I think those family network have kept me really going all that time. So if you've just got that one person that you can talk to, and yes, encourage them to go and speak to their GP if they really feel that their mental health is getting on top of them.
Yeah, wonderful message, Suzanne. I'm so proud to have you on this show today.
You.
You are a wonderful individual. You are an inspiration for me as well, because it's because of people like you that I feel I can make a difference. And there's so much more as GPs we can do. We can always improve. And I do want to take this as a learning experience.
Thank you.
I pledge to you today that I will take this on board and try and implement it in my patients' care. So I thank you very much for coming on today.
Thank you for having me. I've really enjoyed it.
And
it's really exciting.
Yes, and you were wonderful. And thank you to your wonderful Prism team as well for giving such a wonderful service to the area.
Absolutely.
It really is. You're all doing a brilliant job. And thank you to your friend Michelle, who has come here today. And it will be wonderful at some point in the future to have you back on.
Be more than happy. I can think of something to talk about. It wouldn't be a problem.
Absolutely. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Shabina.
Right. So that was wonderful. We've had Suzanne White on, who gave some wonderful golden nuggets of advice regarding mental health, and is coming to the end of the show, and I need to make you aware of some of the events that we're having in the last couple of minutes. We've got the last 2 minutes. So on Sunday the 18th of February, this weekend, please do attend your local mosque. So this is Visit My Mosque Day, which is an open day, so you can explore the mosque, understand more about the Islamic faith, and there will be free books and leaflets given. You can observe the Muslim prayer. You've got the opportunity to ask questions, engaging discussions, and you know this is a wonderful way to learn a little bit more about the beautiful religion of Islam. And there's no registration necessary. You just have to turn up. It's in all 3 of the main mosques as well, and we also have it at the Ghosia Mosque, and we also have it at the Faizan Medina Mosque and the Masjid Khadija Mosque, and also at the Husseini Islamic Centre, the Burton Street Mosque, and the timings are any time between 1:30 to 5 o'clock. Everybody's welcome. There will be free refreshments. Right, this is my kind of event as well. The amateur boxing event at the Top Yard School of Boxing on Sunday the 18th of February, Gladstone Park Recreation Centre. Adult tickets £10, child under 12's £5, tickets on the door £15. For tickets, contact Hamad on 07790 928 546. And in the last few seconds, the Millfield Festival 2018. Next meeting is on the 19th of February, 6 to 7:30 p.m. at the Gladstone Park Community Centre. All are welcome. This is Dr Shabina Said Kayum. I won't be seeing you next week, but the week after. Thank you very much.
Your number one for local, national and international news.